Hi, everybody. If you're of a certain age, you may remember that there was an American punk band called the Ramones that was famous for doing short, loud sets. And the story goes that one record executive, when asked what he thought about the music, replied, "Well, I got up to leave, but they were done before I could." And really, since the heyday of the Ramones, nobody has seen such short presentations. Until today, where a combination of me being on the job for 2 months, my love of succinctness, and not wanting to waste any people's time has combined to create a perfect storm of brevity. And if you're saying, well, Alex, how could this possibly be such a short talk? Well, it can get even shorter, because this talk comes equipped with a too long, didn't listen version of it, which I will present now if I can get the resolution to look correctly. That is not looking good. All right. Oh, well, so much for momentum. Let me see if I can fix my display here, since that is not mirroring correctly. And if not, I'll just wing it without the slides, since they will be online anyway. All right, that does not seem to be terribly happy. Well, I guess we go with the mangled resolution to keep things brief. So anyway, in this summary, I basically only have 4 things to say. I'm the new project lead, everything's running fine. Keep an eye out for some enhanced build tools this year, and I really appreciate everybody contributing to the project. And that's it. So if you want to get good seats for the keynote, you don't have any questions, feel free to do so. If you do have more questions, well, let's start unpacking all of that with the verbose version of the talk. As you may know, ONIE is the open network install environment. It's basically an operating system loader for white box switches, where a white box switch is a piece of networking gear created by a manufacturer where you can install any operating system you want on it. They build their own version of ONIE that understands their hardware enough to be able to install the operating system. And then at the customer site, they run ONIE, install the OS, and then ONIE steps out of the way, allowing the switch to boot normally. So as for what's new, well, me. Our previous project lead, Kurt Bruni, who'd been here for, well, really since the beginning of the project many years ago, decided he wanted to step away from the project for a bit and work on some other things, and for the number of years he's been involved in the project, I can't really blame him. Working on anything for more than a couple of years in this industry is really sort of a feat. So he will be greatly missed for his wealth of institutional knowledge and his accessibility on a day-to-day basis, plus he's just an outstanding engineer. So everybody's going to miss him, but really mostly me. But before leaving, Kurt decided I should probably be the one to take over the project. And working as a project lead, you know, usually when anything gets handed to me in life, I'm asking myself, why me? But in this case, it was kind of obvious in that I'd worked with Kurt for a number of years at Cumulus. My background is in embedded systems design and development, so I've got history bringing up boards, doing board support packages, low-level debugging, installers, booting, all that sort of stuff. And additionally, for the last 4 years, I've been a build engineer at Cumulus Networks. So I've been working on make files, build environments, producing releases, documentation, and dealing with the users of my product on a daily basis, and being able to take feedback and incorporate it, and have patience with those people who don't read their email about a problem that I'd warned them about 2 days ago and are asking me, hey, why didn't you say anything about this? I think we all know who we are in that case. So having been given the keys to the Wonka factory, well, what do I want to do with it? So the first thing is not to break what's working. The current workflows and systems that Kurt and the ONIE community have set up seem to be working pretty well. Over the last couple of months after doing these slides, I've been able to incorporate pull requests, create quarterly releases, update the documentation, so everything does seem to be working pretty smoothly there. And I don't want to get clever and just fix it because. So until I find a reason to start making changes, I don't intend to. And might I just say, as an engineer, it's super weird to be given anything that comes to you working and not broken. It's like calling tech support and going, hey, my PC's awesome. I mean, what do you do with that? But don't break it. I want to try and keep the code quality high, which means looking at all the commits, going over the commit history, keeping the Git history clean, making sure that things behave in a predictable and expected manner and it doesn't break usability for people by introducing sudden behavioral changes. And I got to say, pretty much everything I've gotten so far has been of decent quality. Everything's built right off, which, as a build engineer, you don't always expect. And it's been pretty good, and I really appreciate the contributions there. I intend to help out wherever I can, and I'll be spending the next couple of months continuing to dig into the history of ONIE. I knew coming onto this project there was a lot that I didn't know, and from questions that were raised on the ONIE mailing list where other members of the list jumped in and answered them before I'd fully understood the questions, and thank you for that, I do realize that there's a bunch that I got to figure out, so I'm working on that. So let's take a look at where things are now. So some statistics for this year. We had about 22 new machine definitions for a total of 161. We had about 20 new contributing individuals from 13 organizations, and we ended up with exactly 100 Git commits, which was just weird when I ran the statistics that parsed the Git commits. So that's not too bad. Last year, it was 43 machine definitions, about 20 contributing individuals from about 21 different organizations. So the commits are cooling off a little bit, but not bad. I think it still remains pretty healthy. Here's a list of contributors, which is somewhat truncated because of the slides. But there's a list of, 12 organizations there. You'll recognize some of the names. So you can see the importance of ONIE, just through its adopters. So where do we want to go from here? Well, one of my big goals is to encourage community participation. ONIE continues to be relevant because people contribute to it, and people contribute to it because it continues to be relevant. And I'd like to try and keep that virtuous cycle going. The code itself is relatively feature complete. There's definitely some things that could be added, but nothing that's immediately critical that I'm seeing at the moment. One of the areas I did want to work on was Kurt recently introduced a Docker container to be used as a build environment for ONIE. And that requires a little setup, but me being a build automation guy, I really want things to happen at the press of a button or at the wave of a dismissive hand. Just build it all, just deal with it. I don't care, just give me the results and not have to worry about the details. So I think I'll probably be doing a little bit of polish in there to try and make it easier. And with the assumption that if we get a standard Docker container for building ONIE, then we can use that for debugging at different sites. And we could also use Jenkins to automate the builds and have a consistent build environment that way. So I think it might make things a little bit smoother without changing the functionality at all. So in conclusion, ONIE continues to be important, maintained, and certainly welcoming of well thought out pull requests. That said, does anybody have any questions? Because we have plenty of time. All right, thank you. I posted some links. Oh, hey, they're visible on the slides. Excellent. To the documentation, the source code, and the ONIE mailing list. So I'll leave that up for a couple of minutes if anybody wants to take a picture, although the slides for this will be archived with the talk, I'm sure, and easily available. Those should be live links. All right, thank you very much.